understand what going on, and that is what is happening. This man was never off the road. So Andrew is on the back foot. This is the way I say how this rose color operate. Andrew is on the back foot.
We shove the road, Trevor. We shove the road. Road color
Alright.
or road
He's not on the road that Rattigan, yourself, and me and Mikey familiar with. His
Oh,
roads is maybe with Cecil Roads.
Because
this
you
man
have to make people understand the difference.
all right, sorry. I'm sorry about that. So this man is a road scholar. Cecil Rhodes, you know, his name is synonymous with Rhodesia, apartheid, South Africa.
Zimbabwe.
Yes, Rhodes, man. All right, Cecil Rhodes. All right. So the people who get this scholarship, including one of our good brethren, Mikey, who we used to, and we still get some good foundation from that, was a Rhodes scholar. Not telling you the wrong things that Cecil Rhodes was done. But it is a prestigious thing, and it's hung before anyone who it elevates you to a position of academic excellence, and secondly, to one which shows that you are the kind of a personality, a person that the country can hang their hats on. So this man, finance minister, haven't gotten the Rhodes Scholar and got his degree in maths. That's what his PhD was, in mathematics. You couldn't see this man make the kinds of calculation that he has done. Against the background of offering teachers, offering police, offering nurses, offering doctors, offering all the other people within the civil service pittance, and threatening them that if you don't sign by March, anything else that you're going to get going to drop off. You couldn't then turn around and give the political class, who we know, some of them have 260, if so much. All right? Who don't have a job description, over 200% increase. So with that now, I said this man must have the ambition where Andrew is already muddied. And if you push him down further by throwing this, which must have a negative backlash, it means that the JLP, and there are things out there in the public, I don't know if you guys have seen it, where they are saying for them to go back or have a good chance of returning in the house, it should either be Nigel, then call him Nigel, or Tufton. Would have been a better prospect than Andrew to carry them back when the elections is due. So, but what the PNP do now? So you throw this out in Parliament. And my brethren, Julian, I've not seen him, but I'm going to challenge him on it. Julian is always a very measured man, a very senior politician. Julian make the man, them catch him on the back foot where him come and agree with something that was out of work. By saying, I agree, and then, you know, I'll agree to the point that, yes, you have to give the politician, you have to give the civil servant, the rest of public servants, a better deal, and so on. It's Mark that I'm against. Because Mark had time now to look at the thing. Mark coming to me is a very pitiful response. What Mark's position should be, as I said to Amma, to put the next nail in the JLP coffin. He said, listen now, guys, I reject this. Because what you do, you say you're taking 20%. It means that you leave Andrew with a loophole to be one even better than you. But I say I don't want it. Although I must tell you guys this. Legally, and if you saw yesterday's paper, it shows you that what Andrew does is really gamesmanship, because legally it cannot work that way. There's a whole thing going back to Parliament, going back to Cabinet, going back to Parliament, and all of these kinds of ramifications. I'll stop here. What it shows exactly though is why the Jamaican people, the majority of the Jamaican people, held their votes and gave the political class in 2020 37. The JLP, the lowest for a ruling party ever in Jamaica's history, 22% or so, and give the PNP 16. So the majority of people stayed home, because you cannot have people like Mark and like Andrew Worse to don't stand up for me when we need you to stand up for me. It shows that the PNP is a very wishy-washy organization. And until them start behaving that the star apple that the JLP is. You climb the tree and you either go up there and pick the star apple because you're not going to drop, or you shake the tree with your policies that differentiates you from the JLP. Then even with the next election, if and when it calls and the PNP go through, it's not so much on if they don't change course. It's not so much on the PNP stead, but that the Jamaican people have rejected Andrew, which is it is that way it's headed. So I stop there, comrades, and you can take it from there.
On that note, I want to draw your attention to what Mark Wignall said in today's Gleaner.
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying that only Obia can help the
Aye.
JLP. That's what he said. Only Obia, because the way the situation set, and I think he pointed to a poll, and I think a poll was done or is planned for the June. Everybody's waiting for the June and July poll to see where things stand. But in all of it, it shows a level of disrespect. Wouldn't you say that, Mr. Rattigan? That the way the PNP and GLP reacted to this thing, it shows a level of, it's like they don't trust the people no more.
And disregard for the people of Jamaica.
Yeah. Hey, Will, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I did a show last night, and the show lasted. It went from 3 o'clock until after 9.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the show, you could see an uptick in the support for the UIC, because people are saying them tired of the two parties, no better herring, no better barrel. And I agree with Trevor. I mean, when the announcement was first made that the pay hike would be approved for parliamentarians, I was actually on the phone with Andre Stevens, and he was the one who broke the news to me. And I said to him, and I said to many people after, within a short period of time, that I hope Mark Golding don't take a cent out of this.
Yeah.
You know, I said, I hope him don't take a cent. I said, him either say, I don't want it, and if them say, well, you have to take it, and him say, okay, you know what, give it to the civil servants and set up a fund for them and give it to them. Because those are the people, the ones, the backbone of the society, the backbone of the country. And we need, if we can't take care of them, then certainly we shouldn't be taking care of people at our level. And so when he said that he was going to take the whole thing, but keep 20%, I said, nah, bad move. Amateur politician. I mean, I've met Mark. I actually like Mark. He's a bright guy, very affable, very approachable. But I don't think he's yet to display to me that passion, that power, that single-minded focus on people. Because if he did, he would have said, you know what, I can't, in good conscience and on our basic principles, I cannot take this. And I posited the argument to people as even last night and before. I said, think about it. Can you think of Eddie Siaga leading a JLP party in his heydays, and him say, we're not going to take it, and people, his members start come up with all kinds of nonsense. No, when he spoke for the entire party. Similarly, Michael Manley in his heyday, when he spoke for the entire party. People fell in line. No, as Wesley said last week, the democracy about the whole thing is when you have your conference meetings, and then people are allowed to express their views. But once you finish with that meeting and you go and face the public, it should be one voice. It shouldn't be, well, I'm taking 20%, and then you hear from another politician, no, I want the whole thing. The next one says, no, I'm going to give 30%. You know, the message gets diluted, and then people look at it and say, well, where is the leadership? Both sides, both parties, where is the leadership? And by the way, we should keep in mind that the Prime Minister said that he would forego his pay hike as Prime Minister. He didn't say anything about his pay hike as an MP, which he's entitled to.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved for him to say, I don't want any pay hike, MP or Prime Minister. But he didn't say that. And I'm so surprised at the lackluster performance of the media in Jamaica, because they didn't even, this is a simple point, and they didn't even raise this with him to say, okay, you're not going to take your salary as Prime Minister, but you're entitled to one as an MP. Are you going to take that one as well? Or is there another salary that you're going to take? Or are you going to remain at where you are now?
Or as minister?
Yes, our minister, yeah. Yeah, Minister of Defense. Nobody asking any
Yes.
of those things. And so I agree with you, Trevor, that the PNP through Mark Golding fumbled miserably.
Yes,
They had
man.
a chance to drive the nail home in the
Of
coffin,
course,
and they
man.
didn't. And then look what
Correct.
happened. It's brinksmanship. He got outplayed by Wholeness, because
My
Wholeness
Andrew.
said,
Yes.
yeah, Wholeness said, I don't want anything. No, he's supposed to say, well, I don't want anything either. And then they go, wait a minute. Are you PNP? Are you JLP? Are you taking a cue from the Prime Minister? Are you taking the cue from
Yeah.
your caucus, your people,
Gamesmanship,
your
man.
principle? So
Gamesmanship.
that's where we are with that.
Wesley, I want you to jump in because I want to.
I listened to the thing, and you remember last week I said that we were waiting on the NEC, right? I anxiously, after our meeting last week Sunday, I anxiously wait for the 7 o'clock news. All right, I didn't hear anything coming out of the NEC meeting on the Sunday news. The Monday morning, I expect something. I didn't hear anything. About Tuesday or so, I heard something like a news release came out, and they were saying that
Yeah, Malcolm.
they are rejecting the the increase and asking for a rollback. That is, I felt like somebody hit me with a stone, because I expected at that time they would be coming out with swinging, like when you have good batsman, good opening batsman. You done the opening batsman done out already. That means that the one down batsman who is Mark coming in should be ready to play, and he didn't. He wasn't. He didn't play a good game. And
Sometime, you know, I've seen cricket match where the tail enders save the game. You know, the tail enders save the game. I say that to say something, but let me play this first for you guys. This is. Responded to the Prime Minister saying you get what you pay for. Well, can you hear this?
Yes. Yes,
My
Michael.
response to that is that
This
people
is-
come into politics to serve their country. It has never been principally driven by money unless they are coming in for dishonest motives. So money cannot be the basis on which you attract people to serve through politics. You know, if you're interested in making money, you stay in the private sector and make money. You know, I agree that the public service, the professionals who run the civil service and the bureaucracy of the country need to be well paid. And I fully support that principle as long as there's equity in how you treat them. And what has happened in this instance with this restructuring is that those at the top of the system have done extremely well. Those at the bottom have done well, you know, in percentage terms. And the large cohort of persons in the middle, the rank and file in the teaching profession, in the police force, correctional officers, etc., they have not done well. They, in fact, feel hard done by, disaffected, demoralized, and demotivated. And we're talking about attracting people to do the work that the nation needs, in nation building. There is where the focus should be, not on the political class.
Gentlemen,
that's Mark. That was Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, in opposition. The politics that we are familiar with is no longer possible in this period. The politics of confrontation, the PNP is not into that anymore. And when that was a reality in the 70s, the principal force behind that politics was the union movement. The union movement. In order to move ahead in the political parties, both PNP and GLP, you had to have union support. Okay? Since the changes in the PNP from Portia Simpson come right along, from PJ Patterson, the PNP has moved further and further away from the union movement. So when they find themselves in this situation, there's no force to call upon. Would you agree, Trevor Brown?
Yeah, to an extent, Michael. to an extent. What has happened is, I think it's the way how whew, not only Jamaica, but I think it's the, what do you call it, the way how the international system that we support here in Jamaica,
Yeah,
how we fit into that.
true.
Yes, where I think there are too much power in the hands of the employers, and I don't think there is enough work being done among the workers themselves to understand the key role that they play as far as keeping the same industries and the same production organizations up. So with the impoverishment of the people that has taken place gradually over time, you find that man is more about, boy, how can I, Mikey, how can I Rattigan, how can I Wesley survive, and not so much as a collective. That kind
And
of
not just that, not just that, but you
yeah.
also see coming to the fore is a type of politics that is based on identity, individual identity, not the collective
Yeah,
anymore.
man. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. How I can survive, and not so much my next brother over there.
Yes, and that is an issue because when I heard the thing, I immediately said the PMP is going to reject it. I put a post on Facebook and said, donate the money to some youth development
Yes,
program.
or your constituency, because
Well,
every constituency is made up largely by poor people, except for pockets where Chuck on them there. You know that there's so much to be done. So if you
yeah,
are going to take it to say, listen now, guys, and that's it I go. Clear,
yeah,
very
but
clear on it.
even some brethren, I get a text message from MP Hilton,
Yes.
part of which said that he's not going to make any commitment just now because
You
he
don't know how
doesn't
much money going to come out
he
for
doesn't
taxes and
how
so
much
forth.
tax is going to come out right and all of that stuff. It's like all these guys just take Jamaican
It's
for
joke, man.
idiot. You
All
get
right,
me?
but I want us to still, although the PMP is the party that should lead us out of this.
Who
I,
said so?
I,
Who
I
said? Who
don't
said?
want us. I don't want us to labor the thing that, and we look like we are letting the JLP off the hook, because we spent a lot of time last week.
I don't think we are doing that. I think what's
Okay,
happening.
okay. I just want
we're
us
just
to
pricing.
remember. I just want us to remember that the JLP is the party in power and not the PMP.
Right.
But the PMP must, and they should have taken up the mantle to start to make the movement stronger. And I did not see that, and I am not seeing that since last week, because last week was a time that they should have came out batting the number one batsman. I remember the opening pair came and one of them out, right? So the man who came one down should have start the thing. I think they should have link up with those many demonstrations. You did not see any PMP leadership in it. You did not find the PMP going in it. That is where you need to be. You need to be among the people in its minute form. And that is where they went wrong. That is where they were lacking. And I want to see, let us call on the PMP. Let us call on the leadership of the PMP that they needs to come out. Let us call on the union, because the JLP union, which is the BITU union, won't come out on it. The only union I think that would be coming out is the double L, what's the name again? The union from Lambert
UAW.
Union. Lambert
UAW.
Union. I didn't hear that union. I didn't hear Lambert them coming out and speaking. I didn't hear the NW coming out and speaking. You understand? So we need to find a way, the PNP need to find a way to connect to the people. And I don't know how much gain they got from this. And they should have some gain. I think if I'm scoring what happened out of 10, I would score them 5.
Trevor, it's a bit funny that Lamy hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
And he's a senator, he's going to benefit from this increase. He hasn't said anything.
A senator is not normally paid donor, you know that.
I know that.
They don't get any money. Their name was not called out as a group. You understand?
That is why you should have said something.
Yeah.
As head of the union.
Yeah.
I think they get a stipend, but I don't know if the stipend.
Yes, and they have asked for an increase. I don't think that it don't factor in Nigel thing, you know. And the interesting thing, the ironic thing of that is that the senators, what I've found, you have a better level, a higher level of discussion and participation from the upper chamber than amongst the guys, the elected officials. You know, so if anybody should get a little raise, I would say it's there. It's really criminal what they're doing. But one of the things, though, I need to tell you this. I don't know if you guys have observed, too. What the JLP is deadly afraid of is the extent to which the church has come out. They are afraid of that body.
And the church did came out.
They have. Yeah. Because their thing, they see it in terms of King Herod. The iniquitous kind of, you know, they use Bible terms. And as you know, the church has played such a central role in our lives here. And even in terms of its membership. So the fact that is something that I don't hear one church that has come out in support of it. Because they themselves know that they would have been they would have had that disquiet from their membership if they were in support of it. Because, you know, all the different social classes, except maybe upper class in any major form, all of them attend church, you know. And it's really, there's no footing that anyone here, can I tell you something? On Thursday, I was talking to this brethren. And I hear him say, and this man, I know the man is at, what I call it, diet labor right. I mean, green blood flow to the man vein. And the man said, Mr. Brown, this is wickedness, you know. Anyway you slice it. Why, if they figure what they're doing was so good, why did they not announce it before them tell the teachers and nurses and all them say what they can take? Why they didn't do it? This is a JLP man that tell me this. He said this is utter cowardice. And because you have the power to grant yourself this, you threaten the teachers, you threaten the nurses, you threaten all the other sectors of the civil service. Say, listen now, guys, you have until the 31st of March. If not, all the things that has been promised to you will not get until maybe another 2 years' time.
But they will get a bigger slice then, Trevor.
Yes, I. But if you are so secured, and okay, listen now. One of the defenses of the Minister of Finance was this. I am not paying this increase that is granted is not for the persons in the post as such, but it is for the position so that we can get in a better and a higher level, higher quality level of workers, of politicians, of people to join the civil service. But I'm just saying now, if you follow by its logic now, why did you not say no? Listen now, nurse. Listen now, teachers. Listen now, any other category of workers. I am giving you a 300% increase so I can have a greater retention of you and you don't fly and leave North America.
But that's
what I'm just saying, and I'm just saying, Michael, if what you are doing is so good, you understand? Why you don't do this for the other sectors? So, for example, the police would have maybe stamp out crime, you know. Crime might be 0% if you give them that kind of increase. If you follow the logic.
That is not those people's intention. Those people's intention is to fill their pocket.
The logic don't hold. The logic don't hold. You know, the logic don't hold at all. If it's retention of our highly skilled and our best giving them an opportunity where a man even skip from private sector to come to the public sector because him think go nice. If that is so, why you don't do it?
Trevor,
Yes, sir.
all of that is just gamesmanship.
I said that, Michael.
We know that party membership doesn't depend on qualification. If you become a member of the PNP or the GLP, it doesn't depend on your qualification. In fact, you can start a group, a small group of 6 of you, and you sign up with the PNP and you become a members. So this argument about qualification and what that is just a red herring.
Smoke screen, yeah.
Red herring. Because the political party selection process doesn't involve you going before a committee or you have to have a master's degree or what have you. You understand? So I don't know how the PNP going to pull themselves from this because a lot of us expected more and we are surprised.
Or the PNP gonna pull themselves from it or the GLP gonna pull themselves from it. I don't understand.
I don't say the GLP, you know, because I know the GLP is on its way out of office. The question is the PNP. You know, is the PNP.
So you're saying the PNP squander fortune?
Yes. Yeah, man. Big time.
So what can the PNP do today to regain that? What can the PNP do? What can Mark do? What can us do as a progressive to help to educate the people? This is what we're doing. We are educating them now. But what else can we do?
Send them activists back to the community. PNP, I tell you this, the PNP, if you're going to White House now, people tell you, you know, say, listen, we have an MP named Hilton, but we don't see him. You understand me? The PNP level of work in White House is minimal. Just some dieted folks.
MP means in the Jamaican context missing persons.
Oh, okay.
And that goes for both parties. Missing persons.
So I say the PNP because I think the burden rests with the PNP to really chart a course that can pull us out of this, you know, this situation we find ourselves in. You know, we talk about the political class, but we don't talk about what impact all of this money will have on ordinary people in Jamaica. Because they're the ones that will have to pay it. You have to pay it. So it's likely you're going to have increased tax. Something is coming up.
Can I say, I think, Mikey, that same question was asked of Nigel. Well, they call him Nigel now, you know, Nigel. They ask him, so tell me something now. This $1 billion, this is because there's been what you call it now? They've done the calculations to show how much they increase. And this is $1 billion. And by the way, from the 15th of May, this money has been sent to the different accounts of the people. I got it very good. So when they were telling us, which was when now, they told us, it's about what, 2 weeks ago? Or the week? From the 15th. Yeah, the money was uploaded to the account, from what I heard. I am just saying, they asked Nigel, Mikey, back to this. They asked Nigel, so now, how are you guys planning to fund this this increase? Nigel said, based on his projections, there will be increased revenue take up this year that will allow that to continue. All right. Yet, listen now. You postpone local government elections because your thing is not so much about getting into power, but just to see that the economy is in what you call it, good stead and so on. You said to the workers, listen now, the economy cannot manage any more increase than that, than what you say you would. So on all fronts, the GLP has really been disingenuous. You understand? They say one thing, and they when it comes to their time, and I heard a JLP spokesperson, that's Friday gone. She's saying that And she was cussing Andrew. This is a JLP person. How Andrew, as the leader of the party, and would have been central to the discussions with the salaries thing, decides he's going to jump ship and throw the rest of them under the bus, saying that they are the greedy ones because him him jump off like Pancho Spilett, wash him on. You understand? But Andrew is about trying to save Andrew because we all understand the Jamaican politics, which is what you call a leader-centric kind of thing, where the leader normally, the party itself normally follows or feeds off where the leader is. So Andrew figures that in jumping off, it would somehow save him. It will lessen the angst, the anger, the disrespect, all the things that the people have for him. And it would enable the JLP to somehow get back some kind of traction. But it's not that. People don't want to see Andrew, as me tell you. They don't want to see this brother here.
So Trevor, Mikey, Ratty,
yeah.
Where do we go from here?
I've got to talk to Mark.
Let me get
And him advisors. Because Julian, why do you catch Julian Flatfoot in Parliament? Mark had a good 2 or 3 days. With the figures. And remember now, Mark is not an easy boy. My boy is a road scholar. When it comes down to investment banking and legal matters, a few brother can't touch Mark. One of my buddies, a man who, what I say now, one of the captains of industry, is a part of the bourgeoisie. He said, Brown, 2 things about Mark. When you want Mark advice, first you have to join the long line. Because everybody wants Mark advice on anything they do. And secondly, in fees, as a consequence of that, in fees, not lightweight fees. So after Mark, with all that experience and acumen that Mark have, Mark sit down after 2 days and come say at 20% him don't take. No man, he let me down, brother. And anytime I see him, he's a brother, me talk to you. The last place I saw him was Delano's funeral. Franklin funeral. Remember where we take picture with him and thing?
Yeah, man.
No man, the guys who are advising Mark, it's too friendly. It's too friendly a discussion. You're not helping him.
All right,
Ratty, your time.
Let me jump in. The idea about the church coming out is an interesting one because the church depends on tithing.
Yes, sir.
And so when and a lot of civil servants attend church, so when the collection plate get maga, the pastor have to keep that in the back of mind. They don't want it to reach that point. So I'm not saying they don't have religious reasons or other reasons, good reasons why they would do it, but I think tithing, the financial part of it, is one of the reasons. Now, I've said it before on many platforms, and I'll say it again. When I left Jamaica, I couldn't vote. I had no interest in politics beyond the immediate suffering that I saw my community went through, and other communities similarly situated. When I came to America, I was more concerned about football, woman, and school. And that carried all the way through to law school. And then I joined the FBI, and then the priorities changed a bit. But nowhere was Jamaica on my landscape until 2012, when the High Commission in Pretoria, South Africa, asked me to apply for the position of police commissioner. And still, I wasn't, and they did it because under Portia Simpson, they had an initiative called Mapping the Diaspora, where they were trying to recruit people in the diaspora to come home and help in light of Vision 2030 and beyond. And that's how that's my first foray into what's going on in Jamaica. So I'm a late starter. Nice. So I don't have any particularly, I don't have a particular affinity for JLP or PNP. What I have a deep affinity for is for people, and the people come from the places behind me. And so I take the position that once the elections are over, we will support whoever is the new government, and whatever the cabinet is, we have to support them, because at the end of the day, that government, that prime minister, they represent Jamaica, not a political party. And so we have to support them, Because when we support them and they're successful, by extension, we're all successful. A rising tide lifts all ships. That's how I look at it. No, when I criticize a government or a prime minister, I criticize in terms of a course correction. I don't criticize in terms of regime change. Because again, my support is for the people who have been given the responsibility of running the country. And so my initial criticism is about informing them that, look, you need a course correction. And if I don't see a course correction, then I have to take stronger action. And then it will get to the point where I say, no, well, we need to get rid of them. And that's where I am. Because I'm all about policies, not politics. I'm about people, not party. And at this point, what we're seeing from this government is that they're beyond redemption. They don't care. They're unfeeling. They think about themselves. In fact, we have a social contract with any government, any democratic government. Every democratic government has a social contract with its people. And the contract goes like this. We support you and put you in positions of authority and power so that you can take care of our needs. In Jamaica, the way it's been for decades is that we'll support you and put you in power so that you can take care of your needs. Right? And then you come around just before you come around at the beginning of the election cycle. You come around with a truck full of chicken and your t-shirts and your this and that, and then suddenly people have amnesia. They forgot that the condition that existed at the end of the last election cycle is the same or worse. But because them get an immediate benefit, them forget about it, right? And I'm against that, and that's why I'm so vehemently opposed to politics as usual. I want to educate my people and let them know that, listen, at the end of the day, you are the people in power. You elected them to serve, right? And if they're not serving, then they're supposed to go. Now, where have you heard a situation where a servant said to the master, you know what? I haven't been doing a whole lot of work that I should be doing, and that's because you're not paying me enough. So guess what? I'm going to pay myself out of your pocket. We ever hear that nonsense? And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, where the servant is dictating to the master and telling them that.
Take off a bunch of fool. That's what them take us.
Yeah, we haven't been working because you haven't been paying us. No, listen to that justification. No. I heard two justifications. I heard the prime minister said that it is done in the interest of encouragement, sweeten labor.
Yeah, man.
It's done in the interest of encouraging us to provide more for you. That was his rationale. The rationale provided by the Minister of Finance was, we're doing this to attract better and more qualified people to come into the government, right? And so it kind of pegged to private industry. All right, let's start with the Minister of Finance. In private industry, if you're a failure, you're not promoted. And if you're recognized for being a failure and you're shown the door. So I don't understand how come he's pegging it to private industry, and then by the prime minister's own words, we haven't been performing because we don't think we get enough money. So that's nonsense. We can't rubbish his thing. The prime minister's thing now about, well, we need more money. The question then is, so wait a minute, from 2016 that we've been paying you, you're saying that you haven't been working. No, we think we should get back that money. We think we should get back all that money because you, by your own words, said no. You get the government you pay for, and the reason why we're deficient in our performance is simply because we haven't been paid what we enough to attract us to or encourage us to work harder. No, listen to this flawed logic. He's now saying we want you to pay us retroactively to 20.
Yeah, man.
But we haven't been working. He said that. We have not been working. We've been failing. And now we must pay him for failing and then pay him for proposed and promised success. And we don't have a measure, we don't have a yardstick to say, well, here's your success. Here's how you attain success.
You evaluate him. Yeah.
We haven't seen any of that. And he promised us that in 2016. In 2016, he said, we're going to have measurement tools so that we can measure the effectiveness of of the and the performance of ministers and their portfolios, and we haven't seen that. Now 2023 said, guess what? We're going to come up with those measurements. I said, but wait a minute, hold on a second. You never have them in 2016 when you promised us. I know you come again with promises of comfort to us.
I agree with that.
One of them, the new minister of information is saying that
Robert Morgan, yeah.
Robert Morgan is saying that they have this. They have the
tools.
The tools. They have the job description. And I think it was Andy Ann's program. And she asked of him, so why didn't you put forward the job description before?
You know, the problem is, you hear when Rattigan speak, you hear the passion in his voice, his commitment. And people might think that this is a joke thing. But you see, Rattigan there, how long do we know each other now, Rattigan?
From the 60s. From
okay.
60s,
this man and I
67.
used to get up every morning at what, 4 o'clock?
No, the purity thing used to come pick him up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. And he and I, with our father, used to go to purity and work. My only regret right now is that Rattigan is talking a certain way. If all things were up to me, I would want to see Rattigan as one of the MP in Waterhouse. I really, and I said it to him.
Be careful now. Hilton might watch.
No. I'm saying this because a lot of these folks, right, they talk a certain way and they say this and say that, but they have to look out for their interests and protect themselves. I know Rattigan. You see that fence that he has behind him there?
Yeah.
That's real. That was the border between the Yappies and we from the other side.
And right? Said, that was my first house in Waterhouse.
Yeah. That was the border. That was right on the border. You get me? And that is what is missing in Jamaica. This lack, this passion and commitment to the Jamaican people. Everybody join and they just come in and just use us, get rich, and then I don't know, because I don't know how many of you observe this, but there's a thing emerging in Jamaica where families are now controlling the politics. Mm-hmm. Over in Portland, Vaz and his wife, Tom Pernell Charles and his family. It's like a family, they just divide up the country and the power structure according to families.
One time we said that the economy was controlled by the 21 families. Now the politics is controlled by families. And relatives. And that is what we miss in the Jamaican people. These guys can get away with a lot because we lack the necessary skill set. It's not there enough. But a lot of our folks are scared. What Rattigan is doing right now, that hope up a lot of people are, but I know people say, but isn't he scared or something? Isn't he putting his life on the line and what have you? What you see there is real. And that is what the political parties are missing. We need genuine individuals to become more active in the political process.
Let me just inject a light moment into this. Trevor, somebody say you need to share the brown stew chicken with me. Let me
in knife and fork. Yes, I want to share a knife. That's true. You cannot do that, Trev.
It's not true.
But the point, what I'm saying, the commitment is not. There's not many Rattigan out there. In the People's National Party and the GLP, we know the GLP from ever since is a gang of thieves. We know that. This is to show that to us. When they're not robbing a school they're robbing something else. We know that. The PMP has its problem, but it has potential. It has potential.
So what we need then, Michael, and the team, is that we need to stir the pot in terms of the education, the political education. We need to start again using this forum. More and more we speak in terms of what is the responsibility of the
Sorry
voter.
about that, but it wasn't. Sorry about that. It wasn't brown stew, but the wife said that boy from. I just not too long come here and she said, Trevor, you need something to eat. I said, well, Sylvina, the only good thing about this is I don't have any mic, any video, so that's why.
Oh, so
Sorry
you must
about
make
that.
your spoon talk for you then.
All right.
Trevor, what do you have to say on the point of commitment?
Commitment, Michael.
Yeah, and the quality of people to lead this process in terms of organize it and take back Jamaica from these thieves.
Boy, Mikey. Whoa. You know, there's something fortunate about us guys. We grew up during the time when there were efforts that were directly aimed at changing the status quo in Jamaica. And I can remember when Manley won the election. I just started a little year, started high school. So what it meant is that during that entire period and leading up to it, you had a sense that here is because and Rattigan and Mikey and the West can support me on this. There was a time where Mikey might have gotten through. Mikey's a little more browning than we know Ratty, you know, so kind of lighter than we. All right, it's a browning. So Mikey could have if he do the right thing.
Come on.
Him could be on the front line of a banking counter. Because it had reached there, so Michael. That is where we're coming from. It no black man.
Racism.
Yeah, everything was tied up. Everything was tied up. And so we came from a period where, to me, it was even criminal if there was, based on what as a youth, if you were not supporting the kind of change. Because I remember even the literacy program, and I had to write something in the 90s. In the 90s, was doing PJ Patterson or Portia Sims. I'm trying to remember which one of them. Because it's such a long time. But as something as fundamental as people learning to read and write, no other administration other than Michael Manley had tackled that thing. Not that they took it up, you know, because Jamal was still there. And them finished it and them call it Jamaica thing for lifelong learning and all kinds of things. But I remember as a little youth, people were shy. People know so well, boy, them was not them couldn't read and write. But because of the way and the the passion with which it was to change what was happening in Jamaica, you find that a lot of us bought in it. And I said the literacy program, which was one of the key thing foundation on Michael Bill. So as a result, you find then now that we were kind of grounded and we grew up into that. But remember now, and this is when I think Carter went bad. The elections that were fought in 1980 pitted what Michael was doing against what Eddie was doing, and Eddie with all the implements of war. And we know what went on in the 70s. He won out with the assistance of him bridging them from up north. But one of the first things that he tried to do was to undermine. And I remember, and you guys can remember, he had some things that he promoted. You know, One of the things him say, boy, don't ask somebody because the shortage of the dollar and the money that was there. Him say, don't ask no question where the money coming in. Just take it, you know. And it's like to the highest bidder and so on. So this kind of this approach, which was totally opposite to what Manley was pushing, was something that was really over and over reinforced to the Jamaican people that based on the difficulties of the last part of the Manley regime. I say all of this to say that even Manley, when he came back in 89, and this is one of the things that I have against him, and if he's listening to me now, I engrave him. Manley came back when after Siaga, one election Siaga won, and you guys can dispute me on this. And even the one that he won was with fire and brimstone, you know. They never contest. Michael never contested the snap election in 83 after what happened in Grenada, the implosion, and Siaga climbed on the backs of that. And Michael did not contest the PNP. Then 89, when it was the first election, real election now after, Siaga was kicked out. But hear what Manley said when he came back? You guys can't remember what Manley said when he came back?
I wasn't.
Michael said continuity. Meaning, listen now, the people voted against what Siaga represented. But you, as a Manley, was saying that you're going to continue with what Siaga had laid down. And you had 2 years after that before you step back and give PJ, who is a man who is committed to that same kind of road. I remember DK was saying it at one stage. DK said the capitalists are better able to run capitalism. You understand? So when you reinforce that change that happened from during the Siaga period, and you have all the corporate media from the place that yourself and Ratty has been your adopted homeland, reinforcing it and holding up that kind of regime, the neoliberalism as the way out. We, and this is where I blame us, we as people who were youth them time and came of age later, did not do sufficient of an education with our kids that came after, and even people who were, the younger ones them, whether the aunties, the nieces and the nephews, educating them based on what we know, instead allow the narrative which says that what Manley was doing was the worst thing that has ever happened in the world or in Jamaica as a country.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on that we weren't educating them.
No, we weren't.
No, I know I was educating my children.
Yeah.
And my nieces and nephews.
But as a country,
you was doing your part and Mikey was doing his part.
Yeah.
That's why we are still here today. Right? That there's a section of the society who came up under Michael Manley, who benefit under the social programs, who benefit from the education under Michael today, who believe that they must reject the Michael Manley program. And without Michael Manley, many of us wouldn't be where we are today. Because we couldn't afford the university fee. We couldn't afford to do the exams. So many of us still educate our people. So I don't think you should put it on that broad.
But it's an individual thing that you're talking about. Sorry.
I don't know, but you are doing a broad blanket thing, and that is not.
Yes, no, broad blanket, because your effort, Michael effort, Ratty effort, and my effort, we are just a small part in the
many of us
more. And I don't think that happened sufficiently enough so that the youth is saying what they said, neoliberalism. They must say it's me first and everything else come after. My neighbor down next door, I not even talk to him. If me have something, boy, listen now, I just deal with my 4 squares here, you know. You understand? That is part of the thing, Michael. So until we can make the village try to raise the kids there now, we're going to have, it's a long road.
But the liberalism came about when we stopped speak about the other ism, when we stopped speak about Rasta, when we stopped speak about Pan-Africanism, when we stopped speak about all of those things that was healthy, right? And compare it to imperialism and capitalism and neo-colonialism. We stop speak about those things. And because we stop speak about it, then that's why the people like Andrew and all of those people came in and used the money to put to these young people. And all these people need is a bling. You
I
understand?
don't think,
Yeah.
Wesley, I don't think it's as simple as that. Because in 1989, I was in Moscow when that entity collapsed. I was in Moscow, and when that thing happened, a lot of us became disillusioned. Some of my good comrades turned to the church. Some turned to cocaine. Some turned to rum. Some become gays, and some became lesbian. Everything because we were lost. The breakup of the Soviet Union. So to teach our children wasn't a priority. Our priority was survival. After the problem in Grenada, and then the pressure from Eddie Siaga and the CIA, a lot of us had to run and hide. We couldn't show our face. Don't forget the comrades that they killed up in Blue Mountain, folks. You remember folks, Wesley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, when they went up there and killed him and a couple others. A lot of pressure.
And Jojo them on the road, down at the bottom.
Yeah, a lot of pressure came down on us. So the time to educate our kids, was limited. But the broader point about the young people, not engaging the young people, nobody can deny that. That is a fact.
Yeah.
And this is one of the problems the left movement in Jamaica need to address.
What is left of the... But you see, I would want to hear Brother Ratti's view on it before I make any other contribution. What you figure needs to be done now, Brother Ratti, in order to get the people them more
engaged?
Engaged, yeah.
Well, several things. One is programs like this, where you have an outreach. Because, like, I had a retired FBI agent that I served with in the Middle East yesterday, and he was saying, you get revolutions when people are hungry, and not necessarily hungry for food, but they're hungry for direction, they're hungry for justice, they're hungry for equality, they're hungry for education, they're hungry for housing, medical attention, all of these things. And it's like a tinderbox. And then when the government kind of suppress it, they can only suppress it for so long before it explodes. And I think we're at the point now where people are just disillusioned, fed up, disappointed, depressed, actually. And this is the outlet for them to say, listen, we don't want people start picking up guns and start talking about overthrowing the government and coup or whatnot. But first, what you have to do is you have to educate your people. You have to put the information out there, and then you have to teach them.
Education.
And I'll give you an example. Because you ask, what can we do? One of them is outreach programs like this. People don't know in Jamaica, by and large. They don't know it. Most of Jamaicans, I would submit to you, they don't know about a simple law called the Access to Information Act of 2002. Most of them don't know that you can actually write to your government and say, I need to know what's going on with certain things. Now, there are 9 exceptions that they won't give you information that falls within those 9 exceptions. But other than that, they'll provide it to you. And people don't know about this. People just think that the government is one big secret society. It may be to some extent, but there is also a statutory provision that will compel them to provide you with the information. That's one thing, programs like this. The second one is lawsuits. They don't like lawsuits. Nobody does, right? Because now you're dragged before a court and it's in the public domain, and then people people point to your nakedness.
Yeah.
They point to your deficiencies. They don't like that. Associated with the lawsuit is the PR campaign. They
Yep.
don't like that either, right? Because no, you have your donors, whether they're international, local,
Local, yeah.
private organization or governments, they're looking at it and everything you get exposed. They don't like that. The PR, the PR also extends to going to the donors themselves and saying, look at what the government is doing with your funding, with your support. They don't like that, particularly the Americans, because they have the Amnesty International report that they put out and all this nonsense about atrocities committed by countries. When you point to them and say, this is what you're supporting, and you do it in Washington, and there are
Yep.
forums,
Yep.
there are forums and platforms here that you can expose them
Nice.
through those forums and platforms in
Nice.
Washington. They don't like that,
Nice.
right? And I tell people that another way to do it is, and some people that they make an argument without addressing the argument I'm making. I said, look, under the Public Order Act, you can apply for a permit to demonstrate or protest. And they say, well, we're not gonna get it. I said, well, how you know you're not gonna get it? You have to ask first. Ask first, and if you don't get it, then you can go to court and compel the. But here's the problem: a lot of disenfranchised and marginalized Jamaicans, well, almost all of them, they don't have the funding to bring this before a court of law. And that's why we're starting up this foundation, so that then we can step in and provide the funding,
Yeah.
provide the legal representation for them, and provide the PR pressure as well. So there are some things that we can do. Also, one of the things that we're going to be doing is, and this is, I'm saying this for the first time on Michael's program, but I guess it's all of ours. All of us program. We're going to be, and it was done already, but we're going to do a more intensified version of it, which is to look at the politicians, conduct deep dive investigations so that we have files on every single one of them. And we know where we can track and trace the money, the property, the travel, the communications, the relationship, the whole thing. We can track and trace that and have files on them, so that when we approach them from a position of leverage where we can say, listen, for example, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to get one of those reports, and then let's say, for example, the Prime Minister, we can prove that this man is responsible for malfeasance in office and redistribution of funds and so on and so forth, and we can track and trace those funds to his account. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we can do that.
Yeah.
I would love to go to him and say, listen, here's what's going to happen now. You see your constituency of Tower Island, Cockburn, Pen and Compound and them places there. Them don't have they don't have proper school, they don't have proper clinics or whatever it is that they're lacking. We need you now to take this money, and we need you to go there, and we need you to we'll even give you the scissors to cut the ribbon for the grand opening. But you're going to do it, because if you don't do it, then guess what happens? All of this will be exposed in court, and in the court of law, and in the court of public opinion, and they're going to have to comply. So there are lots of things that we can do, and there are lots of things that we're planning to do. But the one thing we're not planning to do is to sit back and take it as business.
Agreed, bro.
On that.
Well, bro, I need that thing need to be up and running like yesterday.
Well, the lawyer who's working on it, he sent me the documents. I have them upstairs now. I'm going to file them tonight, because the way it works is a little bit, the period is a little bit lengthy. It's not like, I'm in Maryland. It's not like New York where, as long as you have the money, they do things right away. Here, what's going to happen is that I have to pay the filing fee tonight, file it, because it's signed already. We have the board of the initial board of directors, and we have the bylaws, and we have the articles of incorporation. So I'm going to be filing the articles of incorporation tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to pay to have it expedited. So we'll have a certified copy of that within the next 2 weeks. And then with that certified copy, the lawyer is going to use that along with the bylaws, and then he's going to file it with the IRS so that we can get tax exempt status. Once we get the tax exempt status, then we open the bank account and we're off to the races. Oh, and by the way, no one in the diaspora will handle this money. There are companies here that they specialize in handling the affairs of foundations, because we don't want any accusation that people give away money and we thief it. So
Yes.
we're gonna let these
Precisely.
companies, they'll charge us a maintenance fee, that's fine, but we'll let them handle it. And also we're gonna require them to put up a portal so that anybody in the world, whether you contributed or not, you can access that portal and see how the money is being spent. You
Nice.
can track every cent.
Nice. Very good.
Well,
Okay.
again, that sort of operation should have been in place like 5 years ago, because we need it. These politicians in Jamaica, on both sides of the fence, they are getting away with a lot.
Murder.
Yeah, with a
No
lot.
murder, man.
And I tell you this, in a time gone, you're a critical voice in the name of the Workers' Party
Yep.
who stand up and speak out and that sort of thing. That is no longer happening. Okay? So, Mr. Rattigan, this is your opportunity, to step forward and difference and help the Jamaican people because we need it.
No,
Okay.
you know, Michael, the people have expressed concern about my safety, and I understand, but I'm not worried about it and I'll tell you why. I believe it was Martin Luther King who said that if you haven't found a reason to die for,
Yes, I.
then you have no reason
To live.
Exactly. And I ask people, what would you be willing to die for? And some people say, well, I did for my mother, did for my woman, did for this, did for that. But I said to them, but sometimes, think outside that immediate circle, Would you die for your people? And then also keep in mind that we stand on the shoulders of giants, people who need ultimate sacrifice, so that we can have this platform, we can express ourselves. And to me, it's a disgrace to the ancestors for them to have fought for our freedom, and then we turn around and say, well, you know what?
With them blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly. Brethren. And then we said we're thinking about individual freedom. If them people want to see in a captivity, I feel them business. But we are thinking about ourselves. We're coming like our ancestors. They weren't concerned about the crab in the barrel mentality, because some of them even knew that they had traitors in their midst.
Yeah, man.
And them say we still have to go forward.
We are go through, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's funny. Some people tell us them willing for death for them car, If a man touch him car, a warriors are him shoes, and that. But when they talk about the greater good,
no, they ain't that. No. Material things, man.
Right. Well, on that note, I want to turn to Cuba now. Today mark 47 years Cuba been offering medical support to Jamaica. Myself, I've benefited from Cuba, the relationship with Cuba. Wesley has benefited. Trevor has benefited.
Oh.
So, can we spend some time to talk about this relationship? Trevor.
Oi.
You're the man with the connection. You're like the second ambassador.
Right? He's the FN.
Can you share with us some of the activities and the works you've been doing with the Cubans?
Oh boy, it's a long story. Maybe.
And the Jamaican, because a lot of the medical program, selecting the students and what have you, you're part of that process. Eh?
Yeah, man, that's true. But it started a long time ago. And just to make one clarification. I have not sought and I have not materially benefited from Cuba one iota. You guys were granted scholarships. I could have, but I had mine here in Jamaica, so this is where I had my education. Just to make that point very clear. But
I benefited from Cuba.
All right, sir. But with my position now, I came to support Cuba. Not so much that I would have materially benefited, but I came to support Cuba from what Cuba represents, or for what Cuba represents. And this started very early. I mean, talking about when I got common entrance. And it's kind of very interesting. Just to give you a little snapshot. What happened, you see? During I think it lasted for a short while. The Abeng newspaper.
Yep.
All right. I was a little boy in primary school running up and down in a short pants. And my mom Let's give this little background. My mom and one of the leaders of the Black Power movement, who was living in Brownstown, worked in the same department at one of the hotels, not far from me, up the road. So this guy, when he's not in his white shirt, short sleeve white shirt and tie, I'll never forget him. When he comes out to go home or anywhere, he wears a dashiki. So this day, I remember when going to look for my mother. They are in the same department. They are good buddies. He said to me, Brown, young Brown, tell me something. You know, like you say, you know Ratty, you know Wesley, you know Mikey. I say, yes, these are big men in my community. He said, well, all right. I want to give you a copy of their bang, which then in 1968 is a paper that if you are caught with it under Shira, you're up some jail time. So me now as a little boy, go visit my mother. This brethren now give me 4 copies of their bang to give people who normally reads it in my community down the road from where in St. Ann there. And for my payment, I get a copy for myself. The idea is a little boy with a knapsack on him back. No police is going to stop him. As a courier. Okay. I didn't see this brethren for a little while. So when I passed common entrance, now I went to Brownstone to get my books and things to go back to go school. Lo and behold, right in the bookshop, which was run by Scree Burcham's brother, Earl, who is also a teacher, one of the top maths teachers in St. Ann then. By then, no books were unbanned, because remember now, that prohibition on their bang was the fact that anything that promotes black people will give you trouble, because even the book, Black Beauty, which was about a horse, they were holding people. They were against you having even a book about a horse because it says black. Nothing Stokes Carmichael, nothing H. Rock Brown, nothing Angela Davis, nothing Marx Lenin, nothing that was, according to them, subversive literature. So when I went to buy my school book now, there's this guy at Earl Bookshop. He mixed his what you call it, textbook with progressive books, which was then unbanned. Or the 70s we're talking. I saw the same guy who was the courier for him, for the bang. And he said, Brown, long time no see how you doing. I said, boy, I just buy some book to go school, go back to school, start school in September. I said, all right, listen now. Earl was also a member of the Black Power movement. After he has purchased his book, this one I'm paying for. And here what the book is. I still have it. 40 odd, nearly 50 odd years now. Since then, the book is called Reminiscences of the Cuban Revolutionary War, written by Che Guevara. So listen now, that was my introduction to Cuba, Because then you hear about Fidel being a wicked man. That, for example, Flora, which was a wicked reign that they had. When Flora came and it caused devastation, Fidel was like on the front lines as he normally would. Decided to go there and Fidel was like drowning. This is the argument that you hear, A man saved Fidel and Fidel killed the man. Because he said nobody was supposed to save his life. So having received this book from the brethren 4 days before me go to school, brethren, the book was so interesting. Let me read off the book before me go to school. And that's where the support, because what Che did, Che was chronicling, and I've learned something from him that day. That right now I can take up a diary 10 years ago and I can tell you what I would have been doing on Sunday the 28th. Sunday the 28th, because Che was a big chronicler. He had a daily diary. I learned that from Che, and that was how he was able to write this book, Reminiscences of the Cuban Revolutionary War, because every day after whatever struggle, he would write down things. So from then, Michael, that came, then it was, them guys early 70s there, Then you know it was National Youth Service,
Yeah.
and you had NYSWL Workers League,
Yeah.
which was the what you call it now, the union arm for those who were workers. So you go around the highland and to see all of those, if what the government was doing, although it was a progressive government and supportive of what we of the changes in the country that we as youth support, but the NYSWL was the group of people or the union guys who would see that whatever you said you're going to offer us, like the 6 months, we get a little money, we get some we have to leave our parents' house and so on. So all of that was a part of a radicalization period, you know. And then 1977, when Fidel came, I met the man the first time at he came to Minard in Brownstown. The TP Lecky, which was one of the world's famous veterinarians. There was a brand of what you call it now, cow, that Fidel carried him there to show him what is it that we were doing, you know. And my office was just a little up the road where I was attached to as youth service. I met Fidel there for the first time and shook his hand. And in 1978, as life would have it, I was the leader of a youth club, very progressive youth club in St. Ann then. I was chosen as one of the guys from the community organizations to go to Cuba for the 11th World Festival. 10 days that I will never forget in my life-changing days. The 25th of August, 25th of July to the 5th of August, because we reached Cuba on the 26th of July, which is their big day, what you call Rebellion Day, when the anniversary normally when they attacked the Batista regime. And then we came back on the day. We reached Jamaican waters on the 6th of August. So all of that, you know, and then came back, you know, and was part of the launching. In between that, I was a member of the Workers' Party League, WLL, and I was part of the founding of the Workers' Party at Regal Theatre. And you know, the support for Cuba was from that, and you know, since then.
So how did this medical thing start? Because
all right, so
when
the medical thing now, Michael. Actually, in 72, when the four countries, we call them the big four, Manley, Burnham, Barrow, and Williams, decided that they are going to stand up against the United States, who then wanted to isolate Cuba in this part of the world, Western world, because there are only two countries then that Cuba had relationship around this part. This was Canada and this was Mexico. Everybody else, because what Cuba represented then, and as you know, the Monroe Doctrine was really, really and truly what they were running, you know. No other kind of system can exist within this part of the world if America does not approve it. So when these four poor countries decide, say, no, you can't tell us how to run the thing. And in 1972, when they decided that they are going to establish diplomatic relationship with Cuba, then I think 2 years after, 74, yeah, it was 74, no, it was 76. So the relationship started in 72, and about 74, I think they made 74 or thereabout, they made the first trip. There was also a documentary just called 5 Days in July, when Manley and Bev and one of my neighbors who was Manley security, who went on that trip. So shortly after that, the first set of Cubans came to Westmoreland. And I was telling you guys a little synopsis of it, that when they came, it was the first place that the medical graduates, the medical team came. It was a small amount, maybe about 14 of them that came. But that same Blight who became Minister of, was it Housing? Was it Housing?
Minister of Housing.
Yeah.
Minister of Housing. He was then a doctor. And what they saw in the Cubans offering the free medical services in Westmoreland would have meant a dent in their pocket. So what they did now, they organized a set of people, doctors and other people. If they didn't want to go with them and them lumpen elements, and what they were doing now was to march, especially in the capital, Sab, saying how the Cubans are this, and you know all the dopey stories that they say about Cuban.
Dr. Blight?
Huh?
Dr. Blight?
Dr. Blight, same one who became PNP thing there. But he was one of them who was the organizer of that. March against the Cubans. And one of my friends who died, he died not this January, we buried him January gone. Matthias. Matthias then no, because it was the sugar workers co-op he was a part of. And they themselves now were benefiting because Westmoreland, as you know, is largely built on sugar.
Right.
And these were the poorest of the poor. So the fact now that the Cubans were thinking there, then Matthias them figure say, no, we cannot allow these guys to take to the streets. And we don't count on to show them that this is what they are saying is different from. So they counter. He led a counter demonstration. And Blight them organized with some of the political police. Then to lock him up. And they held him in jail for about 2 weeks. Just to, if they could take all the steam out of the counter demonstration, which it never happened. It never happened. You know, because the people who were benefiting, who never had to dig deep in their pocket to pay the Cubans. You know, they were more incensed. And it's a tool that, you know, these guys use, whether the denial of visas, that's what one of the things that the Americans do because they feel say that is where milk and honey. Or they take you away, they intimidate you because they figure if you can in your reflective time, you say, boy, well, I figure this is why I am there. I'm being locked up because I'm standing up for Cuba. Then they do these things. So since then, and it's very interesting to know. I see we are in the report today. They speak of 300 Cuban medical personnel, but it's more than that. Right now, it's the largest numbers of Cuban medical team that has ever been here in Jamaica's history. This is over 500 of them that are here. Well, in all fairness to the observer, I say 300 plus. But you have over 500 Cuban medical personnel in Jamaica here.
Where are they located?
Right across the island.
Okay.
Yeah. They are in Kingston. And they go into areas that are less. So you will find them like at KPH, for example. You'll find them at especially areas that they figure are underserved.
So if one wants them to come into a community and set up a clinic, provide medical service, is that a possibility?
All right, let me tell you what happened now. And I'm going to give you a practical example that I know. It's happening now in Santa Cruz. The Catholic Church has a medical clinic. And that medical clinic serves not only the people in St. Elizabeth, but people as far as Westmoreland, some from Manchester, and Clarendon. Because when you come to this clinic, it doesn't cost you anything more than your bus fare or whatever, or somebody give you a lift, come down there. Who serves them? Well, everybody who serves there is a volunteer. The Cubans who also work at the hospital in St. Elizabeth. The Cubans come and give them time at the clinic. So outside of the hours that they would normally operate in their respective hospitals or health centers that they are assigned to, they are always willing to help. Sometimes they get, maybe depends on how far they are coming, they might get a bus fare. When they come, you know, you give them like lunch or whatever it concerns, but it's not a thing that will cost you as a person who's running the operation of the clinic any kind of money.
But let me ask you this: if the Waterhouse CDC would like to have the Cubans at our center, How do we go about it? Getting the Cubans involved.
All right, but remember now how the Cubans operate. It's like from a country to country basis. It's a state to state basis. So it's you getting Cubans who have the time off from the work that they do, which they normally do, and anywhere that the Cuban reside, I can tell you, because right now one of the things that we are looking at is there's a school, the only school in the world, as far as I know, that bears the name of Fidel Castro.
Okay.
It's the former Mount Peleia, what you call it? They used to use that army site.
Yes, yeah, I know.
They use it as refugee center.
Yeah, I know that side.
All right. Well, for the past 6
They were
years.
involved with building Michael Dam up that side.
All right. And because what happened now, because when it wasn't finished, when the PNP lost the election, and Siaga trying to downgrade the presence of Cuba in the country, used it for everything else other than what it was actually meant for, which was a school. So my friend who was the board chairman, who gave it up like last year, he approached, it was during the PNP time, so it would be more than 5 years, approached Ronnie Thwaites then, who was minister. And because a school down the road in Anchovy was being overpopulated, much more people, it was really, it was bursting at the seams. You approached him about using the school for the purpose, and instead of building a school, you could spend money in trying to refurbish it and bring it back to what it was. So I say all of this to say that in August, on Fidel's birthday, what we're trying to do is to hold the very first, health fair inside of that school, so that people from the communities, so the students also want the back to school, medical checkup before they go back, can benefit. So in those kinds of ways, and because of the relationship like that our solidarity movement have with the Cubans, we could always get Cubans to help in whatever medical facilities that exist. And that's one of the way we can work it.
Mr. Wesley or Mr. Rattigan, you have anything to have a reaction to what Mr. Brown just outlined?
No, I know. It is always a good program. I am still working with the Cubans in Jamaica in terms of doing work, in terms of doing commuter work. We are also looking at some other areas, but the Cubans are always doing well. And Trevor is the man who coordinates those things. And from a medical standpoint, one of the best programs that the Cubans have in Jamaica is the eye clinic.
Yeah.
The eye clinic is one of their best programs in Jamaica in terms of over those years.
Yeah.
Right? I think they are having a problem now because the government, Trevor, you can correct me if I'm wrong. All right. The government don't give them back the permits to work in Jamaica since last year. Right?
Yeah.
So the eye clinics, they work from the chest clinic, and they also work from St. Joseph
Hospital.
Right, where they carried out operation, and most of elderlies in the country, old people as we call them, who have cataract and all of those things. So they are doing a good job, and they're constantly doing a good job. But I think the government, not paying that enough attention. And there's so much. The last time I heard in a meeting that they were having like about over 600 people waiting on them for
it's more than that for surgery and stuff.
For surgery.
And just to add something to that, and then you can bring Brother Ratty, just to finish that thing with the eye care as a Cuban medical approach. The program started with Chavez and Fidel. And what used to happen is that Jamaicans Chavez used to provide the money, the funds for the plane that carries Jamaican people to Cuba to get the treatment. And when they reach Cuba, then the Cubans look at them and then they stay there for whatever time it takes them. But they find that in that way, more Jamaicans can benefit if you have a center in Jamaica and not so much the limited numbers that can be carried by a airplane. So that is why it was set up at National Chest. So how it works now, you go to National Chest, and anytime you go there, I mean, your heart bleed, you know. I mean, they start from early, 7 o'clock, and then like they end, say, about 3 o'clock in the evenings. They test, all the eye testing is done at National Chest. And then based on what what the examination proves, then if it is surgery now, then you go down to Joseph Hospital where they do that. But what has happened? Right in the midst of when COVID came, the government was trapped for adequate space where you could have isolation units and so on to deal with COVID patients. So what they did, they commandeered St. Joseph's as one of the isolation centers. And that is where the Cubans normally, in a small section, where they do their surgery. And if you ask me, to be honest with you, I figure both could have coexisted. Because the hospital is a large enough grounds, and for people who are coming to the eye care to done surgery, they wouldn't necessarily have any kind of interaction with those who are but be that as it may. And I figure part of it had to do with a downgrading of the Cubans' presence in Jamaica. So what actually happened? The Cubans were here from the beginning of the COVID pandemic until last year was what, 2022? No, 2021. Because I think we are now in the second year after lifting of COVID. So for that, the greater part of that period, from I think the last 2 years, because they do rotation, 4-year rotations. For the last part of that, all the Cubans were doing was just to test your eyes and to tell you, give you a prognosis for the following, for you to do surgery. Now, at the end of December 2021, the Cubans went home, which is their normal cycle. You go home on vacation, but you come back in January to start. A new team would have been in place to start back in 2022.
Did they return?
No, that never happened.
Okay.
So what happened now? What happened now, Mikey, just to tell you this before I close, is that the people who are on the waiting list, and for those who had problems, not necessarily on the waiting list, but those who want to go to the Cuban eye doctors based on the good job that they're doing, they started pressuring the government, asking what happened to the Cuban doctors now. The Minister of Health went to Cuba sometime in 2022. And on the sidelines of, I'm trying to remember what the visit he made, but he had an official visit. He had discussions with them. So the latter part of last year now, a team of Cubans came back and they did an evaluation and they said, okay, or is this year? Could have been this year. They came, they checked the equipment down at St. Thing there, which was in good order, and they checked their places, different places, and said, okay, we wanted to start back the program by May, which is this month. We are end of May now and it has not restarted. So we are behind that. And secondly, what they are trying to do now is to develop what you call it, be more mobile. So instead of somebody from Westmoreland coming to Kingston, then what they are trying to do now is to organize so that the different parishes or different centers in parishes can be places where they can announce ahead that, okay, the doctors will be so and so at this point, so that, more Jamaicans can benefit from that service.
Okay. Mr. Rattigan, you have a question?
No, not having a question, but I'd just like to say that,
Yeah.
My experience with the Cubans, I never had any direct exposure to them, but back in latter part of the mid 70s, I remember when they used to come to Jamaica,
Yeah.
and they'd come and they'd build schools, they'll build
Yeah, man.
dams, they'd
Yeah,
provide
man.
medical services and so on.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I mentioned dams is because back in 2016, the JLP put out its manifesto, and it talks about water security.
Woo!
And it said, and I'll read it to you right here. It says the most direct path to sufficiency of water for agriculture and home use is to make better use of the natural resource where it is found, as rainwater and surface water. It says, we will promote the creation of ponds, catchment areas, and micro dams, and create better incentives for households to harvest rainwater. Now, micro dams, I remember when the Cubans came, that was one of, in fact, they had a song where they lick them with the micro dam.
Yeah, man.
The Jamal school, right?
Struggle, man. Struggle, Martin.
I work on the micro dam in Mount Pellier.
Oh, you work on the micro dam?
Struggle, man. Him call him Struggle Martin.
Right. So
Yeah.
now the question for me is, Jamaica has a water problem right now.
Right now, my brother.
And
Stare us in the face.
the Cubans are excellent at doing this kind of work. And they're our neighbors. Forget about politics, right? We're talking about survival. Without water, you really can't survive, right? And I don't see where they've created ponds. I don't see any catchment areas. I don't see micro dams. And we have a neighbor who's they specialize in this kind of things, and they've done it before. They've done it before.
Brother Ratty.
But not only that, Trevor,
What manifesto is that, yo? You could share it with Michael or share it with me. Michael, I really want to
Yeah,
see
it's a
because
2016. It's
it's
page
2016,
37.
Trevor.
2016.
Page
Yeah,
37.
2016.
Last,
That's what the
cate-
reason.
all right.
Trevor,
last category on your right-hand side. It's called investment in irrigation water and rainwater
Trevor.
harvesting.
Yes, Michael. Yes, Wes.
that was the reason that when I spoke to you and we tried to revitalize the microdam approach, and we try and link the minister at the time
Yeah.
about the microdams.
Yeah.
That because of their manifesto and their programs, we felt that
Yeah. We had
from
a
a
good
company
thing.
standpoint,
Yeah.
who work in that field and know to build a microdam and have connection with people there, then we could have restart something like that. But to date, that is over
Yeah.
2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get any
I'm
response
still trying.
from the
But
government.
Ratty, I just had one thing to this. We have even gone a step further than that. Just that same, what you call it now, water, irrigation security or whatever it's called. Food security, is follows closely by. It's like twin. So what we've done, we have gotten a mapping of the areas that provides.
Who is we? Who is we?
We, Michael, we,
Michael,
the company.
Yeah, company that was involved with the construction of it.
Michael, I don't know about that company.
Yeah, man. Let me say we even know the company.
All right.
Okay.
So we what we did, we looked at we have a mapping of where the areas where food security is really, they are the ones who provide the security for us. So we saw that as a priority, that is the food side. And the broader problem that you raise, like right now, there's a call, what we have in Jamaica is a prohibition order regarding the use of water, Brother Ratty. So for example, they say water for non-essentials should not be used in any shape or form, or they don't lock you up. And see the thing that you are reading from 2016, my brother? And Wesley, as he rightly said, all the ministers since, I think it's Shaw. Was it Shaw? Was it Shaw? Or was it Green? It was Green.
Flight Green.
Right, Green. No, he's back because they have moved. Last week, Monday, they have moved Pernell's son. So I ask you for that because there's the evidence which you have, which they put out in the public domain that this is what we defend. So we don't know if there's anything else at work, but we will continue to press, not only so much for our benefit, but the fact of the impact that this will have on the whole food security and on the water security, as you rightly say, you know. And this is not a partisan thing we are talking about. We're talking about helping the country in a very critical area. Because right now they are saying is what? 30% is Mona Reservoir, and Hermitage is maybe about the same or less. That is what we are faced with right now in Jamaica.
The first one that I identified that we could put one when I spoke to the the minister is in St. Elizabeth. That we call the food basket.
Yeah, the bread basket of Jamaica.
And because of the water problem there. And we also point out to him that we could show to the government the different wells, because we do have extensive research on it.
Yeah, man, we did the work, man. But we're not getting anything. But he's back now in the saddle, so we'll see what comes of it, you know.
Okay. It is safe to conclude that this partnership has been beneficial to Jamaica, you know, the relationship with Cuba. I know, can you tell us how folks can get involved in a medical program? Kids who want to study in Cuba, how can they go about and get involved?
All right.
What is the procedure?
All
what
right.
do they need? And is there a deadline?
Yeah. All right. So let me.
That's one thing. Hold on. Yeah. The second thing is young people in Jamaica need training. Is it possible to revive the Brigadista program so that young people can go to Cuba and learn a construction skill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, all right, Mikey. Let me answer them now. First one is how they can get involved in the medical program. Okay, what Cuba offers now, which is a step up from what used to be before in medicine. Well, you know, the doctor, undergraduate, is one area. They offer nursing. For the past 7 years now, they are also offering postgraduate scholarships for students who have studied in Cuba in different disciplines. But how does that go and how does that work? The Ministry of Health says to the Cubans, these are the areas that we are deficient in. And when the scholarships are offered, then the idea is to fill the deficiencies. This is as far as the postgraduate is concerned. But the general undergraduate, as you know, what is required is you have at least 2 of the sciences in your pocket as CAPE passes, or what we call A levels. So biology, chemistry, or physics, any 2 of those 3 at A levels. So there's not so much A levels now as what we call CAPE. So CAPE is, you do CAPE 1, so you do 6th form. So it's lower 6 and upper 6. So for those who are doing that exam, and they would know, okay. So you would get, for example, now. So it what that presupposes is that you would have passed your, what you call it, CXC, which is the 5th form, and then you have gone on to do that 2 years of CAPE, which is what we call it, lower 6 and upper 6, and you get your 2 sciences and you're good. Okay, in choosing people from medicine, so I'll give you medicine, nursing, and the other. In choosing candidates for medicine, as well as nursing too, and the postgrad. The postgrad kind of plays it, kind of says itself. There are 3 criteria that we use for students, for applicants, and I should tell you this: we get sometimes 20 times the number of scholarships that are offered as applications. So, for example, last year we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 4 medical scholarships last year. we got 2 postgraduate, and we got 1 nursing. But this year it will be better. All the indications point to that, and it's a conscious decision that the Cubans have taken, although in very difficult economic circumstances. So let me go back now.
If folks want to get involved, who they
Hold on, Mike. So Mike, there are 3 criteria. So the people who are applying, they will know how to come. There are 3 bases on which you are chosen. First one is the academic thing, which is the minimum. You need to have those minimum 2 CAPE levels or A levels in sciences. Okay. The other thing is need. You won't be a relative of Mr. Matalan or anybody who we figure have the means where they can go to UWI, which charges you $3.5 million for first year medicine. And as you go up in the years, like second year, third year, you pay incremental until you finish your 5 year. Okay. And the last area. So the first qualification, second is need. We need to know that we are giving people who really need it and don't have any other option. And the third one is what we call
community involvement.
Your community involvement. You must show what we call social responsibility. So you come in green from high school. What we expect is that you are involved in some schoolwork on the compound, on the campus, during school time, whether key club, whether this, whether that. But you need to show that you are involved in activity that you don't get any monetary remuneration for, but you are giving up your time for the betterment of a cause. Or you might not do it in school, but you do it in the community, either through your church, either through your youth club, or some kind of organization. So that's a minimum. So that's a
medical. What about the construction? Is it possible?
No, well, okay. We have not had any construction from that long time, because it's always a situation where the government itself, the Cuban poses to the government that these are the things that I have offering, and you say, where can you? What is it that you need based on what we Cubans have here? Okay. So I guess if the Jamaicans say, listen, no, we want some construction workers, then that will be done. If that is a greater area of need, you know.
Okay. At one time we had agronomists training.
Yeah, man. But it's always always something that they and the government, they respond to what the government requires as a specific area of need and so on. And what you do now? Yeah, sorry.
On that note, I think we have spent a great deal of time here today, and I hope someone listening has heard something that they can use going forward. I want to thank Mr. Brown, Trevor Brown, for joining us. Wesley, co-host, Rattigan, the co-host. Let's do it again next week. Same time, same place. And I want to tell the listeners, remember, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Waterhouse Vibes. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the notifications as to when we are broadcasting. So go to the website, YouTube channel, and like Waterhouse Vibes. And on that note, brothers, I'm out of here.
Before you leave, Michael, is it that individuals can write to us and say, well, boy, they would like to hear we talk on a particular topic, or they want us to hear a particular person to speak on something?
Yes.
So we can show that to them then.
Yes. You know.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen.
What's up?
Thank you again.
Come on, take care, brother Ratty.
All right, take care. All right, Trevor.
Yes, I.
Yeah, big up yourself, Wesley.
All right, my brother.
All right,
take care until we
right.
speak again next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Neita, we talk.
Trevor, thank you very much.
Yes, my God.
Cool.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Thanks again.